I made a video a week or so ago, and it was it started off kind of tongue in cheek, where I said to those of you in the Depp supporter community who are having this dawning existential realization that the trial has come to an end, and that now you have to figure out what to do with your life. Congratulations. There is another trial, another case that's coming up down the road that involves celebrities and I think false Me Too accusations, and it is, if it's possible, it is actually crazier, I think, even than Depp versus Heard. So, Alyte, I know that you have just, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that you've just now really started looking into this, and definitely, I don't think a firm opinion or anything about it. I'm curious, when did you start looking into this? And what are you, where are you at right now? What do you think is interesting about it? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So I first heard about the defamation case. I think it was like the day that he posted a link to the complaint on, I think it was his Twitter or something.
Yes.
I had started to follow a bunch of people in the Justice for Johnny Depp community. And I had, already started to follow a lot of the conversations that were happening. I think also that umbrella guy was another one that was like, this umbrella one is nuts. So yeah. And I remember looking at the complaint around the time that it dropped, and I talked about it in at least one of my videos. I have a weekly latest in the law video where I talk about 3 or 4 different legal topics that are relatively recent. But anyhow, looking through the complaint, and as I was going through the allegations, I remember being like, wow, these are some nuts allegations. And then there was one of the footnotes that I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was
let me just say, while you're on that, I think kind of one of the things you're getting at is that, so Andrea Burkhart was telling me that one of the things that she thinks makes that lawsuit by Marilyn Manson against Evan Rachel Wood and her conspirator Illma Gore so powerful is that it actually includes some pretty solid evidence in the footnotes, right?
Yes, that's what I was going to get at. And yeah, thanks so much for sort of like laying that foundation for me. No, it was perfect. It was perfect. You laid a great foundation for me because this, what I was going to say is that, like, I remembered when it linked to a YouTube video and I was like, well, this is interesting. And it basically was a video that was made by one of the women who says that she was approached by this group of women to take part in this alleged conspiracy to take Marilyn Manson down. And so she basically says, screw all of you. I'll keep this piece of paper, but screw all of you. And I'm going to tell everybody about what you're doing.
So she had a fling with Marilyn Manson years ago. And these women tried to recruit her the way that they tried to recruit a lot of other women to make up stuff about Marilyn Manson, negative stuff. And so anyway, not only did she not go along with it, but like you said, she ended up publishing what they had sent to her. So you saw that video about her, and you were like, no, you saw it in the footnotes, right?
I saw it in the footnotes, and then I actually went and I copied, pasted it. And then I looked at the video because I was like, that's really interesting. And it kind of sent me down a slight rabbit hole. I couldn't go as far as I would like to if I'm uninhibited, right? Because I can definitely get into a rabbit hole where I come up for air like 2 months later. So I kind of went down this like little mini rabbit hole basically. And so I was like, okay, well, if that is an indication of what these other women are actually doing, then there's a lot of meat behind his allegations here. Like this is one individual in
a lot of meat behind Manson's allegations against the women, right?
Yes. Like in being a lawyer, I always want to be very careful about the conclusions that I'm drawing from these things. But I don't necessarily want to say that therefore every single woman involved in this has a similar sort of backstory, right? There's always a possibility, of course, from me at this point, before digging further, before stepping further into the case, there's always a possibility that one of these women might have some allegation that is at least somewhat true. Who knows, right? Until we actually investigate those claims, we don't know one way or another. So there's that. And then there's also the experience of having watched the Depp v. Heard trial or learned about the facts of that case, going into the trial, so it's like we should know by now that we should be investigating these claims fully before you make any conclusions, one way or another. But,
Right.
but as things start to dig up certain pieces of evidence that make things look better or worse, you start to formulate a conclusion.
That is exactly the perspective that I would hope that you would have at this point, because you've not looked into, I don't think, looked into the Manson case really thoroughly yet. I think that you're starting to get into it. And so
Yes.
At this point, I would be suspicious if you were saying, oh, he's not guilty, or, oh, it was a conspiracy. And so I think that, the attitude that you have is perfect. And it's the attitude that, as someone who has looked into this, for over a year now, what I ask from people is coming to this case now is just that they have an open mind, and that they don't automatically assume that Manson must be guilty simply because of the number of women accusing him, and because he looks weird and he said some disturbing things as a part of his persona. And I totally understand those are huge hurdles for him to get over. But I do hope that people will look at his lawsuit and will start to take a deeper look at this case and come to some conclusions about that. So where are we at right now? There are several lawsuits that are against women have filed against Manson. 4 women have said that they had repressed memories and didn't really remember that they were abused. 4 women in their 20s having repressed memories, that seems very unlikely to me personally.
Yeah. So when we're talking about claims that corroborate one another, they should corroborate them, but not replicate them, because it's when your story starts to line up so much, it doesn't look organic. So because of the fact that what seems to be showing up with the various accounts of these women that are all alleging, I suddenly remembered these traumatic memories, like they were all like triggered at the same time, like as if it was like War of the Worlds, and all of a sudden all the monsters came out from underneath the earth at the same time because they were triggered by the same thing. Like it seems very strange for those all to happen at exactly the same time. Like that's the kind of lining up of consistency that feels a little bit strange. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not quite ready to conclude that, just yet. Give me a week. Maybe I'll get there then.
Well, let me ask you. So Marilyn Manson's lawsuit, it provided a copy of a fake FBI letter that he claims that Evan Rachel Wood and her co-conspirator girlfriend at the time, Illma Gore, they fabricated and typed up this letter that purported to be from an FBI agent. It was a real FBI agent, but not anyone who had anything to do with or was aware of this case. And also from an agency that actually doesn't exist. Manson claims that they created a fake agency or division within the FBI that they attributed this letter as coming from. So here's my question. Assuming that letter is, that Manson's presentation of that letter is legitimate, and that they really did this, Evan Rachel Wood and Illma Gore did this. I mean, it seems like to me that's a really big deal, right?
Yes. That is another one that is entirely impeachable. So, I mean, number one, they have to show that the letter was actually, coming from them, that they were the ones that drafted it. You've got to be able to show enough of almost like a chain of custody, right? To say like that this comes from them. This didn't just it wasn't like some random third party wrote it on their behalf or something, and that it can't be linked. It has to, you kind of have to link it to them. So, but so this is something that, because it's a government agency, the court probably could take judicial notice of the non-existence of that particular department.
Interesting.
That's at least a possibility there. And at the same time, if they can get in contact with that particular agent who does exist, whose name was used, and to have them come forward as a witness and say, I didn't do that. That was not me. I have no idea I've never spoken with these individuals. I have no idea like who they are, or I might know who they are, but I've never met them. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Right.
so that would be particularly helpful to the case too, because, you know, that between those and then linking it back to Evan Rachel Wood and Illma Gore, that would be very big for this case.
Well, I have to tell you, you know, Alyte, that I do have some sources, and it's not Manson, it's not Manson's wife, but one of the sources that I do feel really good about tells me that that the FBI agent cited in this letter, this fake letter, was contacted, and they were informed of the situation, and they did go on record in some fashion, in some form or fashion, as saying that this did not come from them. They weren't even aware of it. Now, I don't know, you know, I know that, and I know that Manson's team did contact the FBI, and the FBI has been made aware of that. So that's interesting. But here's the other thing that I just want to say too, remind our audience of, is that Evan Rachel Wood, and there are a lot of people who are not aware of this. And this is just, I have to say to our audience, this is just one of the many jaw-dropping things that are going to be getting more publicity in the months and years to follow. But Evan Rachel Wood was in a custody dispute with the actor Jamie Bell, the father of her child. And she had taken this child, wanted to take this child to Tennessee. And Jamie Bell was contesting it anyway. And so as a part of her claim, Evan Rachel Wood included this fake FBI document, this fake letter, because it was a rationale or a pretext for her to take the child to Tennessee, that she was so afraid of Marilyn Manson, she had to flee with her child. So she actually included this. What's amazing, she actually included this fake FBI letter in her court filings. So we do have the letter, like the letter is out there. It's in the LA court, LA family court.
Oh no. So you actually can link that to her, that she actually has used it.
Yeah, it is apparently it is there. And Andrea's talked about this a bit online, but yep. so
she can actually, so let me revise a little bit of what I said there. So she can claim that she didn't write it, but if she is using that, like she can, I guess what she could say is that she was sent that by someone and she doesn't know who she was sent by.
Her counter filing, or her response to her recently filed response to Marilyn Manson's lawsuit, one of the things that she says is that basically, as I understand it, that she believed it was legitimate. So I don't know if she's going to turn on Illma Gore and she's going to blame Illma Gore for all of this, her co-conspirator, or I don't know how she gets around that. I mean, do you as a lawyer have any idea how she gets around that?
I mean, she could say that she, you know, it was sent to her and what she would think is, you know, proper mail, you know, that it was, she's never been sent anything by the FBI before. So maybe she's being duped by some third party that she doesn't know. So I don't know. I mean, but the question is like, okay, then what basis do you have to believe that this was true? There's all kinds of questions to be asked in a deposition about like, okay, let's talk about this letter. Let's talk about like, when did you receive this? How did you receive this? What kind of envelope did it come in? Like what kind of, you know, like all those details are surrounding that. And the thing is, like, even if she claims like, okay, well, I was sent this and I believed it to be true. You get her on record talking about like what made her believe that all of that was true. And the jury is going to evaluate it. There could be enough circumstantial evidence around this for the jury to be like, really?
Right.
Really? Like, this is what you thought?
Yeah. And I feel like that's what we had a lot too with the Amber Heard thing as well. It's like, it reached a certain tipping point where it's like, and I feel like, you know, the tipping point with the Amber Heard stuff, if we believe that anonymous juror, was the donations. You know, people are just like, you know, come on, like you're lying about these donations in such a bald-faced lies. Anyway, you know, that's what I would say about the Marilyn Manson stuff. And I'm so glad that you are. I think you're going to be one of the few to take a look at this Marilyn Manson situation, and certainly one of the very few is going to take a look at it honestly. But the thing is, what I want to say to our viewers is you know, if you look into this, what you're going to find is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. And there is some jaw-dropping stuff, just like what we've just talked about here, this fake FBI letter that she was using in a court custody case. So anyways, yeah, so everybody, thank you so much thanks so much to Alyte from LegalBytes for joining us. Everybody make sure that you like her stuff and subscribe to her channel and ring the bell and all of that. Subscribe to my channel as well, and hopefully we will get together again soon. Alyte, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. I look forward to coming back and having you back on my channel too.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Bye, everybody.